So we went ahead and installed the rear springs already. It was easy enough, honestly, guys. The longest part was recording it. I knocked out that passenger side. How long do you think? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
10 minutes was the video.
So as far as the rear springs go, you can knock them out super fast. The issue with us now is going to be the front suspension. It's harder to do these front springs than the rear springs. All right, guys, so we got to have access to our lower control arm bolts because I don't feel like we're going to have enough play to be able to slide out the strut tower. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this down. We gotta remove a couple of clips though. It's really easy to remove these. All you gotta do is just pop this top tab up. Once you pop it up and pull it back, it'll open it up and you can pull it straight down. So these back bolts right here, guys, they're all 10 millimeters and you're able to pop them out just the same way. That's out, and then we gotta remove these two front clips over here. First step, we're going to take off this bolt right here for the sway bar end link because we have to separate it from the actual strut. Like the strut tower is what's coming off of the car. So get your 14 millimeter socket. So after we reinstall that bolt for the sway bar end link and pull it off, what we're going to do next is we're actually going to pull off this rubber piece right here. So what this is for is it sends the airflow from the front of the bumper through this duct right here, and then it shoots it across to cool the brakes. We have to remove that bolt to take it off. It's a 10 millimeter, and just pop it loose, and then you should just be able to spin it free with your finger. This ride height bolt right here is a 12 millimeter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break it loose. And we're gonna separate it from the lower control arm. So that's good now. The sway bar is loose, the ride height lever is loose, and then we took off this rubber cover plate for the air induction. We're gonna go ahead and separate this linkage from the steering knuckle, and if we're lucky, we should just be able to take this nut out and it should pop right out, but we gotta wait and see. So we're gonna go to screw the nut back on, and we're gonna go ahead and tap it with a little rubber mallet. Once we got it pretty deep through with the nut, to release the rest of that bolt, what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick an Allen through the top keyhole, which is a 5/16, and we're gonna go ahead and tap the Allen with the hammer. And just like that, we're able to pull the rest of this linkage off of the steering knuckle. We're gonna go ahead and rethread the original bolt back on here just so we won't lose it. So this connector right here is for your active dampening. So what you're gonna have to do is pull this front part down and pull back, and that will release this clip. And then all you have to do is push this back part down. So once you pull that back part down, you'll be able to release this connector right here and it will come right out. Be careful with this line right here. You don't want to end up damaging it when you remove it. So next we're going to work with this 12 millimeter bolt right here, guys. All you have to do is break it loose. I have myself a little ratcheting wrench. Just like that, guys, bolt will be removed and you can go ahead and separate this from the actual steering knuckle. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this bracket that holds on this bushing for the lower control arm, and then we're gonna loosen this inner bolt right here also for the lower control arm. So first steps first, we're gonna take that bracket off. So these two bolts are 19 millimeters. So we're gonna put our socket on there. And just for you guys to know, there's a longer bolt and a shorter bolt. The longer bolt's gonna go on the inside, shorter bolt's gonna go on the outside. So once we got those two loosened up, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up this inner lower control arm bolt. This is the moment where I messed up. If you don't understand that, keep on watching the video and I'll explain it later on. Rip our socket.
Socket found a new home.
Our socket found a new home right there. So after we loosened up the lower control arm, we're gonna start removing the bolts for the strut tower. They're both 17 millimeters. So you're gonna stick your impact on one side and stick your wrench on the other. And then loosen up our bottom lower control arm bolt. Right there and right there. And pull our bolt through. There we go, there's number 2. So we gotta wiggle this hub in order to get it out of the strut tower. I kind of already started, but just put some force on it. Put this jack under the control arm because I don't know if it's gonna drop the whole control arm or not. It's a learning process for me. Get our pry bar and try to pry this. What else is missing? We got the strut tower separator from the knuckle. It was kind of a pain, but we got it out. Now we're gonna loosen up these 3 strut bolts, which are 14 millimeters. So get your gun. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wiggle it off of the assembly. Should just be able to wiggle it out. Just like that. Now we're gonna go ahead and compress these springs so we can pull off the cap and work from there to put on the new ones. So we're gonna go ahead and install our spring compressors. We gotta tighten up this spring, that way we can release it. So get your 19 millimeter or whatever spring compressor you're using. You can rent these from O'Reilly's. And tighten it down. And from the opposite side, you're gonna tighten down the spring. Well, this socket got stuck. So once we got both sides tightened, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this plug at the top to access this bolt, and we're gonna break it loose to remove the spring.
Now it's not in the way no more.
And we didn't die. So there you go. There's the old spring. So now we got to take off these rubber boots and put them on the bottom of the spring. This just clips on pretty easily, just like that. That one's pretty simple. It has that little collar right here that you have to spin to remove. So you literally just spin that off, be able to pop it right off. There's a stopper here so you don't overdo it too, if you guys were wondering. Spin that on. Stops it right there in its place so you don't overspin it. Now the next thing is our bump stop. So what I've been seeing, a lot of people end up cutting their bump stops. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it right here on this groove. Should be low. Cut it right here on this groove and it should be low enough to proceed. So we're gonna cut our bump stop right here, slice through it. Doesn't have to be the nicest thing in the world, but just like that, cutting through it, should be good. Now we're gonna continue our reinstallation. All right guys, so quick update on what's going on. If you watched another video about Swift springs and they told you to take off the inner bolt for the lower control arm, don't do it. It's a pain in the butt. We are having the best time of our lives trying to get it off. The inner bolt is this one right here. We loosened it because we thought we had to in order to drop that lower control arm. However, we didn't do it on this side and we were able to reassemble the whole assembly. So you can break this one loose, but by all means, do not remove this bolt completely because you will have a really hard time trying to get it on like we are right now. I feel like it's stuck now. All I was doing is popping. It's currently 8:30 at night. Stressed out. I'm tired. I've been here since 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning. I was having issues reinstalling the bolt for the lower control arm on the passenger side. That has to be the worst part. The fact that I didn't even have to remove that bolt in order to drop that lower control arm. But I did. And I was having lots of issues trying to align the lower control arm with the rest of the subframe and everything. At the end of the day, I was trying to be really careful. I ended up stripping out the bolt. So it's not just the bolt that's messed up, it's the threads on the actual subframe. So now I went to Home Depot. I tried finding a tap and die set so I can redo the bolts. It won't go in, it won't even thread on. I'm stuck. My car is deserted for the night. I have it inside my friend's garage. I'm gonna have to go home like this. It sucks. Stuff like this happens. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I'm gonna try to find a tap and die right now when I get home. So tomorrow morning, early in the morning, I can come out here and finish my car. But it's not looking promising right now, guys. And it sucks. It sucks. I hate having to leave my car here for the night. I was hoping to have it done in a couple of hours. It turns out that it's been like 8 or 9 hours. And the sucky part is most of that time was spent trying to take off that bolt. But the bolt I'm talking about specifically is that one right there. Loosen it, but do not take it off the threads because this is the results right here. You probably won't be able to see inside of it, but the threads are messed up in there. We had to remove the whole lower control arm off the car. So here's my lower control arm. We have it off the car right now, but it's frustrating. It sucks. We were almost done. The rear springs are in. If you guys look right there. Boom. We got Swift spring here. We have our Swift spring on the front left. And then we have our Swift spring on the front right. But that lower control arm messed it up. I was finally defeated by the KevTypeR. First install that has gone terrible. Nothing I can do about it, so here we are. 9 hours in, and I'm still not lowered. And I still don't have my springs in. I'll keep y'all updated, and that's probably it for tonight. I'll talk to y'all guys in the morning. We are on day 2 of this horrendous install. My control arm bolt is still stripped out. If you guys look in there. So we went to 2 Home Depots, a Lowe's. I didn't know if Northern Tools was gonna have a bolt or not, but I was able to find one, an old bolt at my house left over that could possibly work. It's the same thread pitch and the same thickness, but we're gonna, so how do I say this? We're gonna have to cut the head of the bolt off. We're gonna have to weld an extra bolt to the end of it to even see if it'll fit onto the housing. So here's the bolt that I got from home. The only issue with this is if you try to put it in straight, it's not long enough. And if you put it in, try to put it to the side, it's too long now. So the worst possible length of the bolt is what I had at home. But it's the only one we found. I ordered a tap and die set from Amazon, but wouldn't be here till tomorrow. So we are gonna manufacture our own tap and die, and hopefully this works. Should I put safety glasses on? So right now what we're doing is we're cutting the head of the bolts off. We're gonna see if we can get the end of another bolt welded onto it to make it shorter. That way we can manufacture something to get my car on the road. The head is shaved off. We should be good. Let me give y'all an update of what's going on. So we pushed the two bolts together. The bolt that we're gonna weld onto the proper one with the same threads and everything. So hopefully it goes good. Joel's gonna end up welding it together.
It ain't the best, but I think it'll hold.
We tried grinding it down. It's not the best weld. We're not trying to hold the bolt in there, but now we're gonna have to cut it. That way we can use it as a tap for the original hole. You gotta start cleaning the threads on it. I'm gonna keep this.
I've made a couple taps like this for work. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I think we are gonna need a taper in the end. Yeah.
There you go. That looks good. Moment of truth. I'm not cross-threading it, guys. The battery's dead on the gun. Okay? Just putting that out. When people start saying I'm cross-threading them.
And you have it on setting number 2 instead of 3.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. sirens? Oh yeah, we're stranded. We're gonna die if we stay in this shop though. Alright guys, the long held update. I started this job on Saturday. Today is currently Monday. So let me give you guys a little brief explanation of what happened. So this video I was watching told me that I had to remove one of the lower control arm bolts, but keep it there. Turns out you don't. I learned that the hard way. I didn't take it out on my driver's side. Came out just fine. I was able to do the repair. The issue I had was when I took out that bolt, I couldn't realign the lower control arm to reinstall the bolt, and it was a pain. Oh my god, don't even get me started, guys. It was so difficult to try to realign that one bolt. I was being so careful. I even was using a little hand ratchet trying to twist the bolt in there to properly thread it on. End of the day, my worst nightmare happened. I ended up cross-threading that bolt, so we had to remove the whole lower control arm, which we had to pop out the U-joint, which was really difficult to do. It did not want to pop loose, so we popped that out. We pulled out the whole lower control arm, and then we still had the threads messed up on the actual subframe part of it, because the bolts aren't on the lower control arm, they're actually on the inner part where the subframe is. So with those bolts messed up, I gave up for the day. We went home all frustrated and tired. Started fresh on Sunday, thinking that I was going to be able to find a bolt to replace it, to be able to thread in there, or at least make a tap out of one of the bolts I was going to have.
I was looking at the clouds and it looks like it's already starting to clear up, but I don't know which direction the clouds are going. I just got a tornado warning right now.
So Sunday came around and we thought we could make our own custom tap to thread into the bolt. Turns out did not go so well. You guys look there. You guys can see the awesome welds that we put on these bolts, and then we cut the bolt to make the custom tap, and then we tapered it. This is what we resorted to on Sunday. It did not work. We still weren't able to thread it. We weren't able to thread properly the bolt. So I had ordered a tap and die for that specific bolt because I have a tap and die kit, just not that big. So day 3 rolled around. We got here. I finally got my tap and die that I ordered from Amazon. Thankfully that worked. I was able to thread that right in. Go figure that when you have the proper tools, it makes the job a lot easier. So got that threaded in, but the suckiest part about it, nothing goes right. On my way here, because I'm not doing this at home, I'm doing it at my friend's shop, there was a forecast that it was gonna hail and storm really bad and tornado warning and all this stuff. So I was trying to rush over here. We got held up by some trains. So once we finally got here, we were able to reassemble it right before it started raining super hard. We were able to pull in the other trucks and everything else that we got here. So thankfully we got everything sorted out and the car looks good. Well, actually, I don't know. I haven't put it on the floor yet, so I don't know how it looks like lowered, but in the air, it looks good. We'll see how it looks like once it's actually on the floor, because now it's lowered. It's been the longest, most difficult lowering job I've ever done in my life. Hopefully I will never have to do one again on a Type R. I pray that I don't have to, and I pray that I didn't forget something or leave something loose, because that would be bad. I hope you guys understand a little bit more about this difficult situation that I was in with my lowering springs. I'm glad I finally got it done. Hopefully nothing goes bad, nothing goes wrong. But as far as right now goes, everything looks good. We got the car all reassembled. We're just waiting for the storm to pass so we can drop it on the floor, get it out of here, go back to my house so I can start editing this video for you guys. But if you guys enjoyed the content, if you guys enjoyed this past 3 days of this video of my lowering springs, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will be getting more content out soon. I got lots of stuff coming for the Type R. Always have more stuff planned out for you guys. So thank you everyone that supports my channel, that watches my videos, and I hope you guys can learn from my mistakes on my Swiss springs. So please, please, please do not remove the lower control arm bolt. You can take off the 2 ones holding on the bushings, but the one on the inside, do not completely remove it. I loosened it just so I could pivot it more in my mind, but do not completely remove that. You have to drive it a bit for it to settle down, I imagine from 50 to 100 miles. I'll give you guys an update how it feels down the road as far as stiffness goes, as far as ride quality and ride height compared to the original springs. If you guys have any questions about these springs, make sure you guys drop them down below. If I don't know the question, I will look it up for you. So